What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to JEB and Flow here on the Street Parking Podcast channel. Good to see you. Good to have you here. I can't see you, but I can pretend. I can imagine you there checking this out. Hope everyone is doing well. Coming at you from the quarry again. Kind of liking it in here. It's nice. The light is different. I don't know what it is. It's nice. I like it. Anyways, today we're going to just kick off the conversation. So this is the first in a series, we'll say, of episodes that I want to do about time. Time, at least, will be the framework, the backdrop, and we will jump off in a lot of directions from there. But mainly it comes down to time and our relationship with time. So my hope is that we will enhance our understanding of time and maybe even change our understanding of time. And this will allow us to strengthen good habits like joy and humility, self-confidence, fulfillment, which are habits, and weaken negative habits like fear, anger, frustration, worry, procrastination, indecision, ego dominance, which again are also habits. I like to think about happiness as a habit the same way that I look at working out. If you're like me, I go through phases where some weeks or even months I might feel super motivated. And it's really easy to get out there and start working out and be gung-ho about it, enthusiastic. And then there's days, weeks, and even months where I don't really have a whole lot of motivation. But I still get out there and I still work out because it's a habit. So I don't wait for motivation. Motivation's nice, but it's fleeting. It comes and goes. So I don't need to wait for something good to happen to be happy. It's a choice. And if you make it a habit to find joy, to find happiness, fulfillment, self-confidence, all these things, you don't have to wait for something to happen in order to feel that. You just make it a habit. And we'll talk about how we do all that, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because really it starts with, just in terms of one way of looking at all this, one way of arriving at this end goal of having more joy, more fulfillment, having less worry, having less frustration, procrastination, all that kind of thing, is through our relationship with time. And like any relationship, it takes work. In order for a relationship to grow and to get stronger and to evolve, it has to be tended to, right? It's a living thing. And it's, if you imagine a garden, if you just ignore your garden, it dies. The relationship dies. But if you're out there, you pay attention to it, you observe and respond based on those observations, then you get this really cool harvest. So our relationship with time should evolve. And right now, we may have a very static understanding of time. And it's weird. It's weird if you think about it. We have so many ways and words that we apply to time. So we don't really understand it very well. So think about this. Time is one thing that you don't get any more of. You don't get it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And it's really not something that you get. You can't buy it. You can't sell it. You can't steal it. You can't borrow it. You can't kill time. If you think about it, you really can't waste time. You can't save time to use it at another time. And you can't lose it. You can't find it. You can't own it. You can't give it away. It's just this thing. We assign value to it. We treat it as currency, but you can't earn it or spend it. Some people value it more than others. Sometimes we value the time that we are participants in more than we value the time that other people are participants in. And we assign value really to the events that are taking place within a time frame, but not the actual time itself. So if you're in a service or you're paying for a service where they charge by the hour, it's not like you're paying for an hour. You don't just get this hour of time. You're paying for what is happening in that hour. But we decide to use time as this unit of currency, even though the currency fluctuates wildly across different people and different events. So hopefully I've confused you pretty good up to this point. And that is why we are going to split this into multiple parts so that we can just take it little by little. So the way that we currently think of time as this unit of value in some ways, it convolutes our understanding of time with a sense of scarcity. There's never enough. It's running out. And a lot of that comes down to fear. And honestly, fear of our own mortality, because at some point we're all going to die. We don't know exactly when that is. If we're healthy, we have a general idea. So there is this finite amount of time that we get exposed to, but we don't own that time. We just have decisions and choices that we can make within that time. So time, it exists outside of us. It exists despite us. Time is just this thing. It's this thing that's happening. And we intersect it for a certain window. To have a healthy and functional relationship with anything, you have to understand the participants. So really, if we can try to develop our own personal understanding of time, not what somebody else defines it as, but our personal understanding of what it is, then we can work on our relationship with that understanding. And if we can align those two things, developing good habits will be a lot easier. Will be a lot easier at worst. At best, it would be effortless. We walk around on a day-to-day basis and we have clocks and watches and timers and things like that. And we have seconds and minutes and hours. And these units of time, and we have an agreed upon understanding of what length that is. But we really don't, the smartest minds don't really understand time. And at a quantum level, like really, really small level, the properties of time as we understand it totally break down. And the brightest minds out there come up with these crazy theories and explanations for why that is, but they're theories and explanations. There's some observation, but we can't really make sense of it. And it seems like time might even, well, we know that scientifically, right? I went down a little rabbit hole with trying to understand time in terms of in the physical space, and got into Einstein's special relativity, and I can't explain it. I don't understand it well enough to be able to explain it. But we pretty much know that time is relative, and that time behaves differently for objects in motion than objects at rest. It behaves differently for objects moving at different speeds. And the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time gets. And I think that if you actually were to travel at the speed of light, your perception of time would just stop. And if you go faster than the speed of light, you could maybe go back in time. This is not Einstein saying this. This is me saying this with my, moronic understanding of the articles that I read. So I might be way off here. But theoretically, I believe that is a possibility. At least that's what this is saying. But you could never do that, because if you traveled at the speed of light or faster, your mass would grow to infinity. And we can't be infinitely massive, unfortunately. Anyways, huge leap, but I like this idea of time behaving differently for objects in motion versus objects at rest. Time seems to move slower for objects in motion. It seems like time behaves differently for different people. But more likely, different people behave differently in time. You've all heard, maybe not, but the saying that like Oprah and Bill Gates and Elon Musk all have the same 24 hours that you have. Which is true. They exist within the same 24-hour period that we exist. So how come we haven't built billion-dollar companies? That's ridiculous. I don't condone comparing yourself to anyone, really, for any reason. But it might be worth questioning how people like that, how their relationship with time differs from our own. Not their understanding of time, but their relationship with it. So part one of this whole thing is to start to explore our relationship with time, to pay attention to our perception of time. This week, all I want you to do is pay attention to your perception of time. So of all the things that I mentioned at the beginning that we like to apply, but we can't really apply to time, think about the ones that you do the most of. So, do you feel like you are often out of time? Do you feel like you are pressed for time or don't know what to do with your time? That you waste time? That you are assigning more value to your time than other people are valuing, or vice versa? And I just said your time, but time doesn't actually belong to us. And I'm going to probably say that a lot, but I'm going to try to catch myself. Are you often losing track of time? So think about those things that you apply to time. And when time is behaving favorably for you, pay attention to what your mindset is, or what your mindset was in the very recent past. And on the other side of that, when time is behaving unfavorably for you, you're out of time, you're pressed for time, you're wasting time, you're short on time, whatever it happens to be. What is your mindset in that moment? And what was your mindset leading up to that moment? We'll keep it short and sweet. And that's just going to be the jumping off point. So think about those things this week. Might even write them down. Who knows? Could be fun. Could be a useful thing to do. But start to pay attention. Start to question. Start to look at your understanding of time, your relationship with time, and when the idea of time comes up, starts to affect your daily life, examine what your mindset is in that moment and in the moments leading up to it. And then next week, we will get more into how an improved relationship with time can lead to things like joy and fulfillment, help us move away from the negative habits like fear, worry, and procrastination. We'll spend a little bit of extra time, maybe next week or the week after, on procrastination, which has a lot of relevance and application to health and fitness, working out, eating right, starting tomorrow, that kind of thing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the hotline, DM me, email me, holler at me with any questions, ideas, comments, concerns. I would love to hear from you. Have a great week. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.